Have you ever wondered what would happen if, in the midst of chaos, you could still remain absolutely calm? Picture a very real moment. The phone vibrates. An unexpected call delivers bad news. In just a few seconds, your world turns upside down. The heart races, hands tremble, breath quickens, and right then, we often let the loss of composure take control of us. That is the paradox. The greater the turmoil, the more we need calmness than ever. Yet people tend to lose it precisely at the decisive moment. That is when we act in panic. That is when we say words we will later regret. That is when we make wrong choices, simply because the mind is clouded by fear. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it." That saying is not some distant philosophy. It is a reminder that true power lies within us. It lies in the way we choose to respond to events. Calmness is not weakness. It is the sharpest weapon of the intellect. Remember the image of a ship in the storm. The wind howls, waves crash and tilt. But if the helmsman keeps his composure, the ship can still find its way through the vast sea. The question is not, how do we avoid the storm? Because storms are certain. The real question is, do we have the strength to remain calm in the storm? And it is here that the journey begins. Training the mind to become steadfast in every situation. 1. Reaction and response. First of all, in life, there is a thin line between reaction and response. These two words may seem alike, but they create different destinies. A reaction is instinct. When someone insults you, you immediately get angry. When an incident happens, you instantly panic. A reaction comes as fast as lightning, but it often makes you lose control. It makes you resemble a slave to your emotions. Fear, anger, or arrogance lead you. Next, a response is different. A response is a pause. It is the moment you take a breath and recognize your emotion. You do not act in haste. You choose to see the matter from a distance. You decide your words and your actions. You are not swept away by instinct. Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Stoicism is a philosophy that teaches people to remain calm and to live by reason. That is the spirit of response. An event is just an event. It is neither good nor bad unless we assign meaning to it. Then, let us look at everyday life. A harsh email from your boss may trigger an outburst of anger, or you may calmly reply with reason and professionalism. A heavy word from a loved one may wound you, or you may understand that they are suffering too. A stumble on the road of life may cause you to collapse, or you may serenely see it as a necessary lesson. In the end, this difference determines whether you are a victim of emotions or the one who governs your emotions. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, survivor of concentration camps, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space is calmness." So, we must ask, in a tense moment, what do you do? Do you let instinct take over? Or do you pause, breathe, and choose to respond? The answer decides whether you live amid storms or keep your hands firmly on the wheel of your own life. 2. Building calmness from small moments. First of all, calmness does not arrive in a single day. It is not a miracle that suddenly appears in a crisis. It is like a muscle. A muscle must be trained day by day, through small choices repeated again and again, until they become a new instinct. Next, We often think calmness is only needed in major events. Losing a job, an accident, or a broken relationship are such examples. But in truth, a great storm is fed by small winds. One who cannot remain calm in trivial matters will hardly stand firm in great upheavals. Let us look at everyday life. When stuck in traffic, do you honk furiously or take a breath? Do you accept the crowded flow of vehicles or flare up in anger? When you receive a harsh message, do you reply in haste or hold back for a few minutes? Then write a clear and calm response. When someone cuts in line, do you let anger surge? Or do you tell yourself, one more person will not take away my peace? These small moments are the training ground of calmness. Each time you choose restraint, you lay another brick. That brick builds a solid foundation. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." Looking outward, you see a chaotic world. Looking inward, you realize reaction is a choice. Reaction is not a necessity, just as a musician cannot step onto the grand stage without practicing each small note every day. You too cannot remain calm in the face of storms, and without training to stand firm in small matters. Remember, when you learn to stay calm in small moments, you are preparing yourself for the greater ones. Therefore, do not wait until the storm strikes to search for steadiness. Begin today with the simplest of acts. Delay a hasty retort. Breathe slowly when irritation rises. Accept that not everything needs to be controlled. Each small act, over time, will transform you into another kind of person. A person who governs the self instead of being dragged by the world. 3. The role of breath and body in controlling the mind. First of all, stress is not only a feeling in the head, it is a full body response. When you are angry or anxious, your heart beats faster. Your breath becomes rapid, your shoulders tighten. This is the natural fight, flight, or freeze mechanism. The brain activates this system to protect you from danger. Next, most stress today does not come from wild beasts or wars. It comes from emails, from meetings, from petty arguments. The body reacts as if life is under threat. But in reality, you are only facing a word, a glance, or a remark. It is here that breathing becomes the key. The ancient Romans once said, "He who controls his breath controls his mind." Breath is the bridge between body and spirit. You cannot control others or circumstances, but you can always inhale and exhale in the way you choose. Imagine this: when you are angry, your breath quickens. When you are at peace, your breath naturally slows down. By simply changing your rhythm of breathing, you send a signal back to the brain. That signal says, all is safe. One recommended technique is box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Repeat for 4-5 rounds. In just a few minutes, your heart rate decreases, your muscles loosen, and your mind regains control. Professional performers, from Navy SEALs to Olympic athletes, all use this technique. You too can apply it today, whether standing in a crowded street or sitting in an office. Try it in your most stressful moment. Instead of replying immediately, inhale slowly. Hold your breath for a moment, then exhale gently. Right in that instant, you create a space between event and reaction. That space is where reason steps in. Stoicism teaches this. You cannot choose the storms, but you can choose how to steer the ship of your life. Your breath is the very first oar. 4. Inner confidence and the power of preparation. First of all, a soldier going into battle does not only carry weapons, he also carries with him full preparation, physical training, mastery of tactics, and mental fortitude. When the storm arrives, he does not panic. In his heart, there is already the belief, I am ready. Calmness is the same. It is not a miracle that appears at the right moment. It is the result of days of quiet preparation. Top athletes understand this well. When they stand before tens of thousands of spectators, the pressure feels like a mountain. They do not tremble because they have trained 1,000 times. It is persistent preparation that creates inner confidence. This confidence is a root not easily shaken. The philosopher Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But to have that strength requires daily training. Like a blacksmith sharpening his blade, muscles do not appear on their own. No one gains firm wisdom from reading a book once. Calmness is the same. It is the muscle of the soul. It is built through repetition and steady practice. Consider a surgeon. In the operating room, a life rests on the edge of the scalpel. Every wrong decision carries a price. But thanks to preparation and countless prior procedures, they keep their hands steady in the critical moment. Calmness is not the absence of emotion. It is confidence rooted in thorough preparation. You may ask, how can one prepare for the unexpected? The answer is, by practicing through the small things every day. When stuck in traffic, instead of anger, breathe slowly and observe your emotions. When someone speaks harshly, create a pause. When failure comes, instead of blaming, ask, what does this teach me? Each of these moments is preparation for greater trials. Just as daily runs prepare one for climbing a mountain, small acts of restraint build strong inner power. Ordinary people wait for crises and then worry. The wise train themselves beforehand. When the crisis comes, they simply smile. That is the power of preparation, a power no one can take away. It lies deep within you. 5. Training calmness in everyday life. People often think that calmness is only needed in the great moments. When standing on stage, when negotiating $1 million deal, or when life suddenly collapses. But in truth, calmness is forged from the smallest of things. The most ordinary things, repeated day after day. Just as an ancient tree does not grow overnight. It grows from drops of water, from sunlight, from storms, and from long stretches of peaceful days. The calmness within you is the same. It must be nourished by continuous practice. Observe an ordinary day of your life. How many times do you lose your temper over something small? A delayed reply to a message, an unfriendly look at the office, a long line at the supermarket. These small annoyances, if left unchecked, become a habit of impulsive reaction. Then, when a true crisis comes, losing a job, losing a loved one, failure, you will be swept away like a dry leaf in a storm, because before that, you never trained the habit of standing firm against the small winds. Stoicism teaches, it is not events that disturb us, but the way we see them. Therefore, daily training in calmness is precisely changing the way you face each event. When in traffic, instead of complaining, see it as an opportunity to practice patience and deep breathing. When facing a difficult colleague, instead of hating them, see them as a mirror to train your composure. When a small plan fails, smile and remind yourself, this is only a test. These seemingly meaningless moments are the gym for your spirit. Each time you choose calm instead of impulse, you are lifting an invisible weight for the mind. And just like muscles, calmness will grow stronger, more flexible, harder to shake. A simple story. Thomas Edison, in a fire, lost his entire laboratory, decades of work. When watching the flames devour everything, he did not scream. He told his son, "Go get your mother and friends. They will never see a sight like this again." The very next day, he began again from scratch. A mind that had never been trained could not remain that composed. Edison could do it because he had long practiced seeing failure with calmness. Therefore, you do not need to wait for a great crisis to practice calmness. Begin today. Practice in every conversation, in each small irritation, in every ordinary moment. For calmness is not a natural reaction. It is a skill, and that skill comes only through constant practice. 6. The power of reframing, redefining adversity. When adversity strikes, the first reaction of most of us is, "Why me?" That question is like a blade twisting deeper into the wound. It brings more despair, more anger, more helplessness. But Stoicism points to another path. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" That is the art of reframing, redefining adversity. It does not change the event, but it changes the perspective. A person who loses their job can see it as the end, or as an opportunity to do what they truly desire. A business failure can be seen as a full stop, or as a hard-earned lesson that makes the next attempt stronger. Even the pain of loss can become a reminder of life's fragility, and from that, we live more deeply, love more fully. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The obstacle on the path becomes the path." What we call an obstacle is in fact the very material of growth. A person in the gym cannot grow strong without lifting heavy weights. Similarly, our mind will remain weak without adversity to train it. Look back at the hardest moments of your life. Were they not the very moments that shaped who you are today? A broken love taught you to cherish more. A great fall taught you how to rise stronger. A betrayal taught you how to choose and trust more wisely. Reframing does not deny pain. It accepts and transforms it. It does not ask you to fake a smile through tears, but encourages you to see the seed of meaning hidden within suffering. A small story. Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps. He witnessed death, hunger, and cruelty every day. But instead of surrendering, he asked himself, "What can this suffering show me about the strength of the human spirit?" It was this act of reframing that helped him survive, and later write Man's Search for Meaning, a work that has changed millions of lives. Adversity does not disappear when we shift perspective, but it changes its form within our mind. It is no longer a stone blocking the road, but a step to climb higher. And each time you reframe successfully, you send yourself a powerful message. I am not defined by life. I define how I see life. 7. Environment and the people around us shape our calmness. No one truly lives alone. Our mind is shaped each day by the environment and the people around us. You may cultivate strong inner strength, but if you live in an atmosphere of stress, noise, and negativity, your calmness will gradually be worn down. Stoicism reminds us, be careful in choosing where you stand and with whom you walk. A cluttered room easily makes the mind chaotic. In contrast, a tidy, bright space helps the mind become clearer. That is why monasteries or meditation centers are often built amidst quiet mountains and forests. Nature nourishes peace. People work the same way. Near those who constantly complain, we easily absorb their weariness. Near those who are hot-tempered, we easily catch their impulsiveness. But living alongside people who think clearly and remain calm under trial, we naturally learn that very habit. Remember, calmness is contagious. A calm leader steadies the entire team. A calm parent helps children feel safe. A calm friend becomes a source of support for those around them. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Choose to live with those who make you better." This is not lofty advice. It is a truth everyone can feel in daily life. Observe. When you leave a conversation, does your mind feel lighter or heavier? When you spend time with a group of friends, Do you feel clearer or pulled into noise and chaos? The answer is the mirror of the environment you are choosing. If you want to preserve calmness, you need two things. Choose your environment. Reduce noise. Keep your living space simple and orderly. Choose your people. Prioritize being close to those with wisdom and calmness. This does not mean avoiding all negative people, but it means knowing how to set limits and, more importantly, consciously choosing the main source of energy that nourishes you each day. Like a seed, to sprout, it needs good soil, sunlight, and clean water. Your mind is the same. In a toxic environment, calmness is hard to keep. In a nurturing environment, you will grow into a steady tree. 8. Conclusion. Calmness is a skill that can be trained. The storms of life are unavoidable. Failure, loss, misunderstanding, betrayal, all are inevitable parts of the human journey. But the way we pass through the storm is what truly matters. One who loses calmness panics and loses themselves. One who keeps calm stands firm and finds a path through the chaos. Calmness is not a gift from heaven. It is a skill, and like every other skill, it can be trained day by day, hour by hour. You train calmness in your breath. You train it in responding rather than reacting. You train it in the small choices of daily life. Not flaring up when insulted, not rushing when pressured, not letting the outside world drag your mind away. Imagine calmness as a sword. If untrained, it is nothing more than a rough piece of metal. But sharpened over the years, it becomes a keen blade, able to cut through any trial. And at some point, you will realize, calmness is no longer something you force yourself to create, but a natural part of who you are. The final question remains, will you begin training it today? Because no one else but you can grant yourself that precious gift, calmness, the unshakable foundation of a free mind.